everyone, thank you for being here. Today we are talking about the idea of illusions of separation and 3 ways to overcome it starting today. Illusions in society separate us from one another. We're told that different countries, different religions, different languages mean that we are inherently just different from one another and that those differences matter. But in actuality, we're much more similar to the person next to us and to the person across the world than we are giving ourselves credit for. And I have traveled to over 20 countries, some of the richest in the world and some not so much. And wherever I went, I met people who wanted the same thing. They wanted a place to live, a place to belong to, someone to share their life with, a job they didn't hate all the time, friends to have fun with, good food to enjoy, a place to go to for vacation, and something to look forward to in life. And these things were replicated in every person I ever met, whether they were young or old or completely sure of themselves, had no idea what they were going to do next. It did not matter who it was. Everything that they talked to me about fell into one of those categories. And if that is true for a variety of the people that I've met, I'm sure that that can be true for even more. And now you might be thinking, but some of these separations do matter and have caused great strife across the world, and it has caused a lot of issues across the world, but it hasn't gotten us to a better place by seeing each other as so different from ourselves, and that difference is a bad thing. And just like all of us enjoy chips or soda, there's so many different flavors in every single one of those categories, and it would be fairly boring if we all had to eat plain Lay's chips, the same brand, the same flavor, and this is just not the thing that most people like. They like barbecue or salt and vinegar or sour cream and onion or cheddar or a million other types of flavors and chip types, and this is just chips. So if we can see all of these differences as flavors that we are just more accustomed to, more interested in, that is a lot easier to look at these differences as not being so scary. And the more flavors there are, the more options there are for you to figure out what flavors you do like. What if you do go to another country that you weren't born into and learn that your favorite food is in that country? Or you meet a person you've never met before and now this is your best friend because you took a chance to look past this abstract separation because you decided that, you know what, we're all people. We come in different flavors. We come with different things that we were born to by choice, not by choice, and these are just circumstances that we can't necessarily change. And the more we see past these differences, or at least see them as not holding us back, we can start to see our own self be reflected in people around us, both in a positive and in a negative way. If there are people around you that you do not like, chances are there's something that they're reflecting back to you that you don't like in yourself, and that is hard to hear, but it's the truth because we see ourselves everywhere all the time, and we are separating ourselves from it even though it is us. And what do I mean by that? When that person who is constantly trying to prove to everyone who they are and trying to make their point across and is setting up all these meetings at work, you might be annoyed because, hey, they're getting their point across and they're doing it whatever way they have to be heard, and you might feel like you're not heard, so you don't like the tactics they're taking, but in actuality, you would like to be heard more, be a bigger part of this conversation. So when we start to see that everything is not that different from us, we can stop feeling so isolated from the world around us and alone. When we see that people in other countries are struggling with the same things, they're still wanting to find relationships and they're having hard times making friends, or they still have to figure out a healthy diet with all of their traditional food, you realize that though our struggles come in different flavors or versions, they're all still very similar, and it is not to say that these differences can't mean a lot to you, but it means that there's other people who feel the same way. They just feel it a little bit different, and we can learn from these people around us all the time if we give ourselves the opportunity. But we have to first see that we're not actually separate from those around us, that we aren't in these silos as much as we want to believe that we are. And if we can look at our life to be as less isolated, we can see our own problems as less unique. Because if you're facing something, there's thousands upon millions of people in the world facing the same thing. You're not the only person who's lost a job, has a goal of losing weight, is struggling in their relationship, is trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And in actuality, the majority of the world is struggling with these in some way or another, or probably will at some point in their life. So you're not alone, and not feeling alone makes the burden of whatever it is that we're facing a little bit easier, because other people are doing it, so you can do it too. You can look at them as inspirational, or you can look at them as like, hey, they found a solution, maybe I can learn from their solution. But you can look to people as a valuable source of living your own life and seeing like, hey, they lived theirs, and I want to show up in my own life in the same way. So these illusions are constantly showing us that we're different from everyone else, but really we're all just different flavors of chips, and you gotta find the person who likes your flavor and who enjoys it, and you aren't forcing to enjoy either. Your people are out there as well. This doesn't mean that every single person likes every single thing that you do or that you're about or that you're interested in, but there are people that are. So it should give you this hope that like, hey, maybe I haven't found the people that I'm gonna hang out with all the time yet, but that doesn't mean they're not out there, because there's billions of people out there who are struggling with similar things that I am, and hey, I'm gonna find them, because I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep choosing to see the world as a place to connect, as a place to feel a part of, instead of being separated from, because at the end of the day, we can connect to people all across the world, and we can show up for them, and we can choose to be present with them, even if they're on the other side of the world. That's what's cool about technology. But it can be isolating if we're comparing ourselves in the wrong way. If we're saying like, well, this person has this beautiful house and this marriage and these kids and this job, and I don't have any of these things. They didn't have those things at some point as well, and we have to stop comparing our start to someone else's end and comparing ourselves in general. Because what we're doing when we're seeing that we're similar, we're doing the opposite of comparing. We're being like, hey, this person has a great job, but they still struggle at work because they're giving more responsibilities, and they have to own up to them and come up with ideas and run these meetings. So yeah, they have a cool job, but they're still doing a lot of work, and I have to do a lot of work. So we're more similar than not. So if you're going to compare yourself to other people, how can you compare in the positive? How can you be like, well, if this person can ascend to these ranks in the company or find this awesome partner because they're going out and doing their favorite activities and they met someone who's interested in the same things they are, go and do those things too. These are people who are living their life authentically, and you should be too. But you have to figure out what authentic means to you and how you're going to pursue that truth in your life, because at the end of the day, you're the only person that knows what that truth is. So how can you start doing this today? How can you see other people as a part of your world instead of something to compete against, to fight against, to compare against? Well, figure out what it is that you like to do. Who are you? What is the flavor of you that you're sharing with the world? What are you practicing? How are you showing up in certain situations? What is your job? Who are the people around you? How do you want to be perceived? How do you think you are being perceived? These are all things that you get to curate. If you don't want people to think that you're mean and don't know what you're doing at work, then start having nicer conversations and get your act together at work. Start doing the work better, or start looking for a job that you enjoy a lot more. If you don't like the people you're around with all the time, stop hanging out with them as much. There are active decisions that we can make to curate the world around us to be happier. There is so many people out there in the world who are going to enjoy you, so figure it out. So Write it down. How are you showing up to the world, and how is the world being perceived by you? What do you see when you look out into the world? And if it's hate and you don't like people and everyone you're surrounded by is annoying you, why is that the reality that you continue to pursue? Because if you are choosing to show up every single day in the same situation, at some point you are choosing it, even if it's not an active choice. At some point it was, and now it is just a choice that you're continuing to do. Another thing that you can do is go to a new place and try something new and realize like, oh, I've tasted these flavors before in a different combination, but I've tasted them before. Go to a restaurant, to a place, from a place that you've never been to. Go check out a book that you never would have. Go and explore what other things are out there and see if you can find similarities in it. If you've never gone skydiving or horseback riding or whatever, and you aren't committing to it, go and watch a video of someone doing it. Is there lessons that they learned through that process, something that you've also learned? Have you learned to breathe deeply before you start a presentation, just like the person who's skydiving has learned to calm down right before they jump? Is there ways that you can connect to lessons that other people have learned? And that's another great way to connect to the world around you. So another list you can make is the lessons, what makes you happy, what makes you excited, and then maybe this week you can go and sign up for a class or go somewhere new or try something that would connect you closer to people who have the same interest as you. No one else in your life has to like it, but if you do, go and pursue it. If you like ballet, go to a ballet class or go to a ballet store and buy something in person and just be around the vibe. Anything you want in this world is possible, but you have to figure out what it is and go pursue it, and the people that want to be there with you will show up as well. So let go of this illusion that we're separated from one another. It's a big world, but it's a world where we can all connect together if we choose to see it that way, if we keep showing up for ourselves and those around us, and start realizing that the people around us who we don't really like are actually showing back to us a little bit more of ourselves than we're willing to admit. I hope you got something out of today's video. Our chakra journey, our 7 weeks of chakra journey is almost over, and we're going to be starting up the second half of the mindset shift, which is going to be about the 5 freedoms. So that is starting up soon. We got one more chakra to go, one more thing we got to let go of before we can start embracing our freedom. I hope to see you soon, and have an amazing week.